Welcome to the Get Back. Music Work Talk in Central Texas. Fridays at 1 p.m. Brought to you by the Austin Federation of Musicians and with the Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee. The Unemployment Compensation Advisory Committee are members of the Austin Federation of Musicians, Local 433 of the American Federation of Musicians, aka the Musicians Union. Some of us work as contractor 1099 workers, and others work as employee W-2 workers in various aspects of the music industry.
The goal of this session is to share our experiences, including trials and tribulations related to the Texas Workforce Commission, or TWC, with other musicians in the state of Texas to aid in navigating the TWC application process. We are not experts in unemployment assistance. We are musicians.
The information contained herein does not constitute either legal advice or an official pronouncement or a position of the Austin Federation of Musicians, but rather is only the personal opinions of the panelists. The panelists do not give legal advice or make official rulings on agency matters, should not be cited as authorities in any matter before the agency or when dealing with agency staff about a case, and must minimize their involvement with administrative processes. They also do not give legal advice on any other matter, and any information they should give should not be used as a basis for taking any employment-related action. Before taking any employment action that could adversely affect an employee, or before using any sample form or policy you may obtain from this group, you should consult a licensed private sector employment law attorney of your choice. All right, welcome to the Get Back. Music Work Talk in Central Texas. I've got Daisy is here with us today, and so is Russell. Hello. Yeah, we always call attention to the website links that we have down in the description. Those are kind of the best places to get info, the most up-to-date and accurate info, even though it's not always easy to find. So we try to provide more specific links below those once we post the final version of the show. But they're not there yet if you're watching right now. But it's 1:03 on Friday, June 4th, and I guess we always start with beverages here. I'm doing coffee like usual. What are y'all drinking?
Spring water.
Water.
Remarkably consistent. Lovely. Right on. Well, yeah, we kind of have a loose agenda here, but I think probably the first thing we should start with is probably the unemployment stuff. Still getting cut off. Not even at the end of this month, before the end of this month, right? Is it the 26th?
I think it's 26th.
It's like the week ending that 25th or 26th. Yeah, it's like the last week. And what's really confusing is I think that means that you still have to make a payment request that next week, because you're getting on if you're on it, you'll be getting unemployment for that week. So you still have to make the request after that week. And that's very confusing because a lot of folks are like, I'm done after that week. But you probably, does that ring true, Daisy?
I mean, probably, right?
Yeah.
Kind of keep submitting them until it tells you not to submit them anymore, basically, right? It'll kind of let you know when you're not eligible anymore.
I think that's the best way to say it, yeah.
So keep trying until it won't let you, basically, and then you'll know that you did it.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the big news. We were just talking. We're preparing like a letter writing campaign about this because they really, this is really a mistake to cut this off for everybody, but especially for arts workers, in the arts, because as we've been saying the whole time, the reopening of society is not going to restart our work to the degree that it was going. It's going to take months after everyone's out there rubbing up against each other and comfortable with it before they're willing to come out for entertainment. And we saw the same thing after 9/11, right? There was like a frozen period of months where it just wasn't cool to go out for fun. And that wasn't even a medical thing, so, yeah.
This is going to force artists, musicians into unsafe situations or a forced change of career.
Right.
Yeah.
Which would be very sad and tragic.
Yes. I feel like that's the thing that everyone's sitting with right now is like, well, do I start driving for Uber or try to get a job at McDonald's, or like what are the options really, and are any of them safe and okay?
Yeah, and even beyond that, like we were talking a little bit before the show, about if people do go into other industries from the arts, if they they become successful grocery store owners or electricians or some other industry, the amount of experience that our industry is going to lose is incredible, and it's totally unacceptable. Like we're going to be rebuilding from that for decades.
Yeah, there's no pathway back.
Yeah. Yeah. So that it's really important to stay in the industry. And of course we're used to that. And I mean, musicians are, we're clawing our way into this industry to begin with. And we're tenacious beasts in a lot of ways, but yeah. So.
Well, in some ways, I mean, it gives credence to the fact that we're non-professional. We're hobbyists.
Mm.
And that's not the case.
Yep.
I mean, because they see the finished product. They don't see the hours that you put in for a 20-minute show.
Mm-hmm. No, that's a problem we've always had, right? Because the more effortless it looks, the better it is. And it reinforces that idea that...
It's so interesting, too. Like, so many of the artists that are seen as being, like, the most successful ones. This gets into, like, a class-based conversation, of course, but it's just interesting because so often there's, like, a generational wealth component and, like, access to a lot of promotional and other personal resources that lead to that brand excelling. So it's like if you don't come from that background, if you're a working class musician, being seen as legitimate is so hard. You have all those cards stacked against you.
Yep.
Are more likely to be seen as a hobbyist. So struggle I definitely am up against, at least.
Yeah, right on, sister. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
That's why when you wear shirts like this, you let them know.
No,
you get to be a musician to wear a shirt like this.
I'm not even qualified to wear that shirt.
What do you got on there, Russell? That's a bass clef and a circle of fifths.
That's right.
That's terrifying. Look at that thing.
You walk around in public, people go, "What's with that?"
Real deal, walking.
That's a badge of music theory right there.
That's
or something.
right.
Right on. Well, let's dig down and what else has been happening with unemployment specifically. We've been hearing from a lot of musicians that have been getting this almost threatening notice that they need to submit documents, and it doesn't say like prove that you're a working musician, but it essentially seems to be kind of that gist.
Yes.
And there's sort of a veiled threat that you may not have qualified this whole time or something. And it's just like, oh my God, and people are like, this is causing like massive anxiety. We're hearing from dozens of musicians, and I'm sure there's thousands across the state that are getting the same communication. Did you get something like that, Daisy? Do you mind talking to us about it?
Yeah, I got it probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I've been thinking about it every single day since then because, it's a PDF that they send you, right? And it says like, go to this link, but since it's a PDF, you can't click on the link. So you have to type it in manually, but very carefully, many times. And the server never responded. Server not responding, server not responding. I tried different times of day, different days of the week, figuring maybe it was overloaded because we all got the message at the same time, right? But after weeks of trying that, I realized it would be perhaps more prudent to print out the requested materials and mail them in. So that's what I just got back from the post office and did. So hopefully it gets to them. Hopefully they process it. But it's very scary to get that notice saying like, you might not be eligible after you've been eligible this whole time. And if they don't like your paperwork somehow, that you might have to return every dollar that they've given you. That's a scary notice, especially considering, my guess is that they are the government and potentially already have access to all of that information. Otherwise, why would I have been eligible? I already submitted a lot of it last year. So it's like resubmitting some things and submitting a few new things from the past year.
Yeah.
Scary.
Yeah, and especially, looking at that from the perspective of a generation that's still buried under student loans to some degree for a lot of us, it's just like, what? Wow. Um, yeah. So, so, I mean, it seems like, though, like, so they give you a list of things that you can submit that will be adequate for the thing, right? And it's mainly, it's like the Schedule C and the 1040. So basically like your general taxes and then your business taxes forms, right? And that should be it. But also on that list are all kinds of other goofy things like, oh, you just give us all your 1099s, or you could give us all your contracts, or da da da. And it's like, what? And people are like, I'm going to send in a wheelbarrow full of documents, and yeah. And I think that would probably be the worst thing, right? Like, you probably want to send in the smallest amount of stuff you can, particularly in light of what you were saying. If you're mailing it in physically, then they'll have to process all that physically.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people doing that. If the website's broken or doesn't work or is overloaded or whatever, that's sort of the story of the last 2 years, I guess. But
no, I trust that it will work, but I definitely have that panicked feeling in the back of my mind, and I probably will for many months, that like, what if it just sits in a pile of papers and no one ever processes it, and they justify, demanding money back from me because of their own incompetence in our office. That's the fear for sure.
Yeah. It's really, it's not amusing.
No, that's horrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, if I guess what could we say to folks that are watching?
Well, you remember they were getting those letters here,
Mm-hmm.
where they were demanding payment, and from the Texas Employment Commission here, and they went and got the TV networks involved, and they said that, okay, well, it was a mistake, and we're going to get it corrected, and don't worry about the letters, and it's going to take us a while. We basically don't have staff to clean this up.
Yeah, that was
however,
mm-hmm.
that's still frightening to receive those letters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that you're talking about like last summer or last fall?
No, a couple of weeks back.
Oh, a couple of weeks back. Okay.
We were talking about that here on the show.
Okay. Oh, right. Yeah. So, yeah, it's just, when you see that in writing, you're like, what, and it's still going to be in writing, and sometimes they mail it to you, and sometimes they email it or put it in your correspondence box, and yeah.
Yeah. Check your correspondence box.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's just wild. Yeah, but what can we say? Like, what's a best practice for that particular letter? I mean, I guess we can't assume that the letter's the same for everyone. So, I guess it's just read it as carefully as you can, without freaking out, and and like take your time, and maybe read it and then wait a day and read it again, because it can totally freak you out, right? But yeah, just read it and look at that list of documents that they have, and it's on the second page, right? Which is, if you get it on paper, it's on the back, so you might not even see it. If you get it in the mail, because some people are getting them in the mail and some people are not. But there's that little list of documents, and it says like one of these things will do, right? You don't have to send all of those things. That's really important, right? Because like I said, I think it would be bad to actually send all of those things. It probably would delay your thing. And yeah, if your Schedule C or your 1040 is on there, that's probably the most succinct way to do it, because that has all your business income on it. So I think that's probably all we can say, other than just don't let it get you down, and we got to keep keeping on, because we need to get back to work at some point. But yeah, it's going to be a while, for sure. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. Interesting news, and we're going to keep covering whatever we're hearing from people and whatever is in the news about this. There's a couple of articles in the Statesman Just about, what was I thinking of here? Yeah, like how there's an editorial about how, or a letter to the editor actually, about why workers can't afford to take jobs and how cutting off jobless benefits will delay the recovery, which most of us understand, although the leadership of our state doesn't seem to understand that. And another one from last week actually about how, it's an editorial about if you want more Texans to come back to work, help them get child care. That's a massive issue right now. Folks, don't have child care, don't have access to child care they can afford on the job that they can get. So what do you do? And that's particularly troublesome right now because school just got out in Texas, right? I think last week.
Didn't we just lose one of our important members to that same situation? The guy that was traveling back and forth?
That's right. Yeah, of the AFM you're talking about. Yeah, one of our AFM organizing staff at the national level. Yeah, had to take a different job with a different union. He's still working in unions, of course, because he's awesome. But yeah, because the child care issue, it's important.
Sure.
And people think, oh, well, it's important to you, but it's not important to me. It's important for the whole country. That nobody's healthy unless everybody's healthy, and that's
And how do we expect the next generation to come up strong and resourced if we are leaving them perpetually under-resourced?
Yeah, good. That's an excellent way to put it. Thank you for that, sister. Yeah, man. A bright spot is the YMCA of Austin. This is another article from today, yesterday. The YMCA of Austin is providing childcare during vaccination appointments. So nice. That's something. At least there's a lot of YMCA locations around town, and if you need childcare so you can go and get that vaccination, that's one way to do it. So thank goodness for that. So I'll put a link to that article, and it actually even has the addresses of all the locations here, which is great. And there's like, what are there? There's like 8 of them. That's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, so. It's almost like you can get a vaccine now with no waiting. Yeah.
Yeah, there's plenty of supply.
Yeah.
And demand is way down, at least on the daily. So, yeah, it's definitely time. And the folks, that have been sort of waiting to see what happens, that has come out too. People, that the doctors and the scientists, have said, we've seen all the side effects we're going to see. Like, we know about all the side effects now. There's no more side effects are going to come out. Yep. If you've been waiting to see what happens, now
it is.
You know what happens. It's not, it's not very severe, right? So.
I had no side effects. I'm so lucky.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. Yeah, I hear from a lot of people that have none. Yeah.
I felt fine. I mean, I remember when she gave me the second one, and that's when they were supposed to, that's when you're going to have the side effects. She was kind of squeezing my arm, and she was like, "Are you ready?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "Okay, we're done." I'm like, did you do it? She's like, "Oh, we're done."
So fast and painless.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Didn't feel it both times. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I started making jokes. I'm like, "Oh, I didn't pass out for the other patient." She's like, "Don't say that." Didn't scream or yell or anything.
No.
Musician. Addict.
Yep. Yeah. I got a little sleepy like the day after my second shot, but that was about it, man. It was nothing really severe, and so glad to have it. And of course, it's an industry issue for us, man. Mask positivity, vaccine positivity. I'm gonna go, and if anybody wants me to wear a mask wherever I go, like, it's on. It's just great. Let's go. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's definitely concerning me. There's a lot of indoor unmasked gigs happening right now, and to each their own, but I'm comfortable doing at this point.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, and that's been, the state recommendations have been what before this, the state recommendations were you had to wear a mask going in, and you could take it off when you were seated, right? So that has kind of been happening the whole time. But now I think, yeah, there's no requirement to wear it anywhere, and I think the businesses are still like requesting, right, that you wear it whenever you're up from your seat, but they're not enforcing it, and yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't blame them, because it can be a dangerous thing to do, I mean, we don't want to put the staff in danger either. So, and what, now you can permitless carry a gun in Texas or whatever that is.
Right.
Did that go into effect already?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh my gosh.
Every day I'm like,
You don't need some angry person.
Oh my gosh.
Can I see your card? No.
Yeah.
Fine.
All right.
All right.
Oh, yeah. It's a wild time. Well, so that brings us to our next point. The legislative session just got over with for Texas, right? The Texas legislature, and well, they got a few things done, but yeah, a lot of things just did not get done, and a lot of bad things got done, and yeah, it's going to take a while to unpack everything that happened. But I think one of the, I guess, a bright spot is that they didn't pass that voter suppression bill, although they're going to try to do it.
Yeah.
they sure are.
Yep. And
They're
another
gonna hold a special session for that.
Yeah, they're talking about 2 special sessions. That's another article in the paper today. They're talking about having its own special session just for the voter suppression bill. Which, yeah, I don't know. And then another special session for everything else. So, I don't know. Yeah, and we had another. This has happened several times since I've lived in Texas, where the Democrats from the legislature like leave town, like, in order to block a bill, and it's like, why does it have to keep coming to that? It's
Well, it's not just that you leave town. You have to be someplace that the sergeant at arms can't find you, because you can be arrested and brought back to the chamber.
Wow. Yeah.
So you have to be someplace. I mean, they can't know where you are.
It's like literally on the run. Yeah.
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 Oh, that's
I mean, it's bizarre. You're literally a fugitive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Wow.
big.
Yeah, I remember they left the state one time. I think they went to like Santa Fe or something one time.
Yeah.
Several years ago. But, ugh, yeah,
Yikes.
yeah, bad news. One of the things that they did get done though, and the office, I didn't do a good job of like telling people about this, but the Senate did ask the union office to come and give testimony on a bill called the Music Incubator Plan, and it's a bill for alcohol tax that like gives a rebate on alcohol tax to small venues and music festivals in smaller counties in Texas. So
Nice.
I think maybe around here, I think maybe like Utopia Fest might count for something like that, and probably Kerrville and other places like that. But it had to define size of the county for the music festivals, and then the venues is just a size of the venue, a capacity. So a lot of venues in cities would count. I think probably most of our venues would get it. I think the number was like 3,000, like less than 3,000 people capacity under normal time. So a lot of our venues count. And yeah, it's like a rebate of like half of their alcohol tax, which is huge.
That's
But it doesn't kick in until they have to pay their alcohol tax. So, but it's coming. It's supposed to go in September. So it did pass. And we did. I went down and testified before the Senate Finance Committee, and on that, and also on unemployment, and just how difficult unemployment has been to navigate for our workers. So that's good. They're starting to recognize the musicians, in some ways as a business entity, and that has to do with what you guys are doing and everybody's doing in the union and other organizations as well. It all helps. So, yeah. That's a cool thing. We have some photos of that, but we didn't get it into the newsletter that last time. Oh, speaking of which, there's a new international musician that just arrived the other day, and there's an article about Pride Month and an article about the PRO Act. That's another thing, and nationally, that's super important. People's Right to Organize Act. And then of course, the For the People Act is what we're talking about. Is what's going to prevent the Texas legislature from passing their voter suppression bill, right? That's the national bill, the For the People Act. That's going to like regulate these voting things that the states currently have control over. It's going to regulate the degree to which the states can basically suppress voters. So hopefully we can do that. Yeah. So look out for there's going to be some letter writing campaigns about the PRO Act, but also the For the People Act, for the FTP. Yeah, not file transfer protocol, but for the people, and So, geez. Go ahead. Sorry.
Let's write those letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Anytime you can communicate with the elected politicians, that's a good thing for sure. But we're going to structure some ways to make it easy. But it's always cool to communicate on your own, and I think Daisy, the last time we talked, you had talked about the importance of, like, even on the structured letter writing campaigns, to add your own preamble to the emails, because it's super easy to do that too, right?
Totally. And a lot of times if a message is exactly the thing that they've already gotten, they'll flag it so that we already got this, we don't want to get 150 more. So they'll just send it to, like, I don't know the technical terms, but if you add some of your own words, it might not get flagged and sorted. They might be more likely to see it.
Yeah, and the beginning is the place to do that, right?
Yeah.
You can still keep the content that you want at the bottom that's already written for you, but then you can say, introduce yourself or something like that. That goes a long way.
Absolutely.
Yep. Yeah, man. What else do we want to talk about? Sorry, Russell, you had something about the eviction moratorium.
Well, yes,
being lifted.
that is let me get the article real quick.
Sure.
The Realtors Group has asked the Supreme Court to block the CDC's eviction moratorium, and that is likely to pass, and the evictions will start almost pretty immediately. Matter of fact, it has started.
Wow.
And it's kind of surprising that it's the Realtors Group that is spearheading this. It seems that they would be kind of like, let's not do this. Let's work with the landlords to kind of help tenants work this out. But they're like spearheading this, which you're kind of cutting your own throat here. I don't get that.
Yeah. Yeah, and the issue that they kind of wedged in there on was the CDC's ability to actually require that, right? Because
they're saying that they have overstepped their authority,
right,
because of the pandemic.
Yeah, and it seems like, the CDC thing probably was a recommendation anyway that the elected officials in the government would act upon,
Right.
And that's what would actually bind it, would be the action of the elected officials, but that doesn't seem to have happened. Yeah,
I don't see how the CDC could put out a mandate like that, because they're not a legislative body that can produce laws.
Exactly. Yeah. So. Yeah.
But they're being blamed for this one.
Yeah. Well, being blamed for it. I guess you can't blame them for doing it, but it should have been put into law, by the elected government officials, right? And that should be the thing that can't be questioned. But apparently there's not enough there to do it, and that's really disappointing. We have been talking about the Austin Rent Relief Program
Mm-hmm.
is still going, and that still has funding.
Still does.
Good.
And that's the that's the best way to do it, because then your rent actually gets paid. So the the tenant benefits and the landlord benefits, and yeah, so that there is still help there. Yeah, if you qualify for that,
And that's on the city's website.
yep, yeah, it's very easy to find.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look that up and put it in the show notes again. We put it in almost every week. So yeah. Yeah.
One of them got that. Said it was really helpful.
What,
Awesome.
What'd you say? What was the beginning of that, Daisy? Sorry.
I think my bandmates got that.
Oh,
Yeah. Said it was super helpful.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, so it's you have to see if you qualify for it, or you may have to fill out some paperwork, but it's there. Yeah. And then, there's the other issue that I know is near and dear to everybody's heart that's here today. The Prop B, the next phase of Prop B enforcement is going into effect soon, or happened already? The 12th.
12th.
That's the next phase. Wow.
That starts with citations now.
Jeez. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of up to the officer.
Mm.
They can issue citations now.
Mm. Yeah. So that's that part of that multi-phase rollout of this new camping ban.
Bad idea.
Yeah.
You have officers doing the work of social workers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're not social workers
Exactly.
at all.
No.
Nope.
God bless them. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very worried about that. Do we have any updates on? I know there's a lot of efforts to get housing going, and the Housing First community got, a big boost to build a bunch more spaces. Community First, sorry. Any of y'all heard any updates in the last week or so about housing stuff for our most vulnerable neighbors?
That funding has sort of been frozen.
Ugh.
Well, for whatever reason, I'm not exactly sure why. I think the city council has kind of been at odds with the city manager,
Oh boy.
which, that guy is pretty much invisible. So you don't know exactly where he stands with this.
Mm-hmm.
But, it's on the table. And for some reason, it hasn't moved along.
Mm-hmm.
We need it to move fast.
Yeah. There was also some news this week about this, like the city waiving like permitting fees or something for the construction of some of this housing. So that could be good, right? That could make things move faster and do more with less money or something.
Well, they were actually going to take those existing hotels that are already standing, that are empty, and just use those.
Yeah.
And there was so much pushback from the neighborhoods about not wanting the transient people there, because of drugs or crime or whatever, and so that kind of stopped the forward momentum there.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be transient if they have a place to live. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right. Yeah. It's the definition of that word you can work on.
This ends well, trust me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We had one of our members was working at one of those hotels,
Mm-hmm.
and it got shut down last month. And they got all the people who were working there together, and they said, "Oh, we've achieved our goal," and that means we're done. And now everybody has to find a new job, and it's like, oh man. So
And everyone got relocated, I'm guessing.
I don't know what happened. Yeah. Yep. So, geez. So, related to that, there's also there's an article in the newspaper today about travel, and I don't know how. I don't know how accurate this is, but it's from today. It says travel is back and Austin is live again, but recovery will take time. And it talks about how Austin, is actually surfacing as a place where people are starting to travel to again. So I don't know, as far as like the travel bookings, the actual like airline bookings. So we'll see if that actually translates into actual hotel revenue, into, entertainment revenue, that type of thing. You would think.
Well, the hotel revenue is public.
Mm-hmm.
And I've looked at those, and occupancy has gone up.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
People are coming here.
Oh, they are. One of my friends worked at one of the downtown hotels all during the pandemic.
Oh, wow.
But working, at a coffee shop. And she said it was wild. There were lots of travelers, obviously nothing like before, but all year long, lots of people through for coffee every day, travelers, even through the height of the pandemic. So it never totally stopped, I guess. Or maybe not never, but it didn't stop for long. And yeah, everyone I know who's traveled lately says that the terminals at the airport have just been packed and that flights have been packed. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So.
Gotta wear your mask though.
Yeah, until September. So I guess if you're going to travel and you like masks, this is the time.
Oh wow. I'm not hip to that. They're gonna not require masks in September. Is that the idea?
Starting in September, unless the CDC, et cetera, federal airline regulations, unless they change their mind, which I doubt at this point. Yeah, they're phasing it out come September.
Wow, man.
I think I'm going to wear airlines for the rest of my life, though. I'm very into it.
You run into people that do it every time. I mean, we've seen that for years, ever since the first SARS outbreak. You especially when you travel internationally, you see folks just voluntarily wearing a mask. In some countries, they call it a privacy mask.
Yeah.
Too,
if maybe you have some symptoms, you don't want to spread it. It's great for that too.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it's used. I've heard in a lot of other countries where we look out for each other a little more, perhaps.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, it's just not such a big deal. It's not a violation of your freedom or something. People just do it. People just wear it.
Yeah,
just
they don't get violent over it.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So
because there was a flight attendant who got a broken nose and lost some teeth over asking a patron to wear a mask.
Wow.
That's insane.
Horrifying.
Yeah, and what the airline suspended alcohol sales on flights because of that.
Oh wow!
And that really stinks. I mean, it's nice to have a drink on a plane, right?
That's like the safe grace, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
boy,
man, but I understand why.
Yeah, you're already nervous to be up there anyway. Because let the drink take the edge off.
Yeah, and I think that the actual airlines and the staff, prefer the travelers to be a little mellowed out. But I guess you can't get too mellowed out, I suppose. Yeah. Oh man. Yep. Geez, yeah. So I wanted to bring that up. I guess getting back to the legislature, then there's the state legislature. There's the issue of the governor is talking about defunding the legislature, or like freezing their funds, like until what? Until after the special sessions or something, and like.
Yeah, his message is to punish the Democratic legislators for leaving.
Right.
He wants to defund their offices.
Wow.
And staff.
Jeez.
Basically like a line item veto, where he's just going to go through there and you don't need this, you don't need this, you don't need this.
Yeah.
Which is pretty childish and ridiculous.
I mean, they don't make that much money anyway. I mean, our legislature is very part-time.
Yeah, I mean, you meet every 2 years. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like the music industry, if you're talking about who gets known and who has a PR budget, right? Oftentimes people that do that work can afford to do so, right?
That's right. Yeah. And they also do. I mean, they do their own fundraising for that purpose too. But yeah, a lot of times they can
I'm
afford to.
specifically thinking about the GOP, just knowing how money works in Texas.
Yeah.
Just making some assumptions that perhaps the Democrats potentially might be more impacted by not getting paid for a minute. Assumptions.
That's an excellent point to make, though. Yeah. Yeah. I have been very impressed. With the senators that we've been working with, which have been mainly Senator Zaffirini and her staff, who are on the ground in Austin all year long, and they've done a great job helping us out, with different things.
Well, imagine if two of them are gone now.
God bless them. Yeah, that's right. If they have like a big reduction, right, then they may not be able to help us out, in these things. So yeah, that's a real, could be a real problem. I don't know where the funding for that office comes from. That comes from the state, or does that come from the senator's own fundraising, or?
Well, you get a budget for staff.
Okay.
When you're elected, and apparently he controls the purse strings. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, and was that always true, or did he take control of the purse strings?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. But apparently he can do this.
Yeah, that's what they're reporting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jeez. Well, we'll have to see how that filters out there, because that would be a real shame. Yeah, because our state senators have been really helping us out in a lot of ways. So. Jeez, and our state representatives too. I don't want to leave them out either, but they got things they got to do, and jeez, making them less able to do that doesn't seem like a solution to any of the problems that we have. But no.
It's purely punitive. I mean, it's just no good is coming of this.
Yeah. Well, the last thing on the agenda that I've got is a city issue again. They're talking about increasing the Homestead Exemption but that only benefits people that own houses, and in our industry a lot of people don't own houses. We're very renter heavy in our business. So that may help some of us out, but and it may help the housing market out, which would help us, because the housing market is getting crazy, and that's driving the rents up everywhere. But it doesn't appear that that's going to have a real near-term effect. That may be a longer burn. I don't know, but it's interesting, and I suppose it's good that the city government is sort of looking at that problem, because it is an explosive thing. We're seeing all these houses being purchased for like hundreds of thousands of dollars over the asking price, and like the day after they go on the market, and just wild stuff. So yeah. Did either of you have anything else you wanted to chat about before we sign off?
No, I think that's it.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Thanks for being here today. This is great, man. Thank you, the viewer, for being here as well. If you're in the music industry, don't give up has been the message that we've been trying to impart this whole time. We can get through this with our solidarity, by sharing information, sharing resources, keeping each other in the know, and speaking together to our elected officials about what needs to happen. When the time is right, join the union. That's a big thing too, nationally, statewide, locally, everything. And we're working together to better the industry and to keep America making music, because the whole world needs America to make music, and we're going to do it. We're going to keep doing it. So, all right. Well, we'll see y'all next week on the Get Back.
Thanks, y'all.
Take care.
See you guys.